Hey guys, welcome to World End Economica episode 3. It's the third part of a series. If you haven't watched the first two parts, I recommend going back and watch them. I'll probably put a link in the description for the first two parts. And if you want to buy World End Economica yourself, it is available on Steam. The World End Economica is a sci-fi economics series written by Isuna Hasekura, the writer of Spice and Wolf, and presented by Seiko by Seiko Project. And it's actually pretty damn awesome, actually. This is supposed to be the concluding part of it, so hopefully this will conclude the story. I'm hoping it'll be a good ending. The end of Spice and Wolf was very good, so I'm hoping Isuna Hasekura can weave her magic again and get this to the same sort of quality. Without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? And this time I'm actually recording. And a round of applause, please. Thank you for that warm introduction. I'm Fidel Gazzaniga. God knows why, but for some reason I'm president of a moon. When a middle-aged bearded man standing at a podium said those words, the crowd burst into laughter. He appeared in his trademark rolled-up sleeves, arm resting on the podium, as if he was leaning over a balcony. But if that earns me the opportunity to give speeches at momentous events such as this, then I don't think being president is all that bad. And more applause. Not sure if this guy's good or bad. He looks like he should be good, but that means he's probably bad. Gazzaniga, smiling, raised his right hand and the audience became quiet. Gazzaniga put on an expression befitting the sixth president of the Lunar Surface and spoke. I have no intention of impeding free enterprise. However, it is well known that the wealth disparity of the Lunar Surface is only becoming wider. The rich get richer, and so on. It will take enormous amounts of goodwill to rectify this, but I believe those on the lunar surface have it in them. At a glance, his fiery beard and well-built body made him appear gruff. But it was the way he projected that captivated the audience and endeared him to him. His performance had gotten a lot better. He used to just yell all the time. That quip was whispered in my ear. Oh. Apparently he's supporting the guy. And that's... I can't remember what his name is. The young lad. Glancing over, I saw Markos next to me, sticking his tongue and making a face like some sort of imp. Though I may be unworthy, and our current administration will continue our struggle with Parliament, but our opposition is proving very resilient. We must not falter for even a second in this battle. We cannot falter. Oh my. They're going to hand out a verdict soon. How do you think it will turn out? Who knows? Depending on the outcome, things will probably start getting hectic again. I wonder about that. An incident from a mere 4 years ago on the moon would feel like an incident from 30 years ago on Earth. You haven't changed at all, Hal. I'll take that as a compliment. Of course I meant it as one. What's this, another 4 years ago, is it? To that end, it is a great honour to have been asked to take part in this momentous commencement ceremony. It inspires me to keep fighting. Lastly, there is one person who has given his expertise and passion to this crucial project. The man who shares my dream, the hero of the Lunar Surface, Yoshiharu Kawara. Everyone, give this man a round of applause. Wait, we're a hero? Gazzaniga extended a hand in my direction, and the audience's gaze focused on me. Where some appeared wealthy, but others were in work clothes as if they had come straight from their jobs. This assembly was located in a garden surrounded by a newly built apartment complex. The gentle afternoon sunshine poured down on us. I abruptly stood up and gave a slight bow. The red ribbon on my chest was rather embarrassing, but wearing it was part of my duty, and I would deal with it as such. Many rose from their seats to applaud me, and when their applause died down, I bowed my head again and took my seat. Speaking as the incumbent, hearing your applause makes me pray he doesn't throw down his hat for the next election. His joke got everyone laughing, and the applause was back on Gazzaniga. When Gazzaniga left the podium, the next test was called, and a different gentleman rose to the stage. How? It's time. Markos stated, glancing at his old-fashioned watch, and I sensed there was somewhere behind me. Before he could turn around, a hand came to rest on my shoulder, and I knew it was Gazzaniga. As of this moment, it is public knowledge. Gazzaniga seemed much more like a politician now than he had at the podium. Garen Leaf's appeal has been denied. His guilt is settled. Oh. How? Marko whimpered him as he said my name. I closed my eyes while hearing Gazzaniga's words. Mysteriously, I wasn't overcome with emotion, possibly because this whole ordeal was several years old. No, I don't think that's why. The enormous corporation known as Avalon, at one point referred to as the Sun King, filed for bankruptcy and its administration faced litigation due to accounting fraud. Moreover, because of the sheer scale of the enterprise and its wrongdoings, the full extent of its case was still not entirely clear. And, just as I feared, due to our investigation and unmasking with wolf in sheep's clothing, Avalon stocks became little more than scraps of paper, and everyone who invested in them lost everything. Among them were a lot of Avalon employees who owned stocks and part of their retirement pension. They weren't involved in any wrongdoing whatsoever. All they did was work diligently day in, day out. Yet they lost their jobs, their pensions and their savings. Avalon was an illusion, a phantom company that mostly existed on paper. And that's what makes this victory bittersweet. Reality is that, while some people tout me as a hero who cast light on the darkness, I'd also received very angry messages from people who'd lost everything, saying that if I just kept my mouth shut, the lie could remain the truth. Eleanor and I were simply abiding our own convictions and felt we did what was necessary. We couldn't simply ignore it. Eleanor wanted to realise justice. I wanted to settle my past. We did what we had to. Maybe we were egotistical, our actions being up results and amongst them responsibilities. I intended to accept them, and I will continue down what I believe is the right path. I think that my lack of emotion upon hearing the CEO of Avalon, Garen Leaf, had been found guilty was a result of me growing up. Gazzaniga had placed his hand on my shoulder, and I reached up and gave it a light squeeze. That's one loose end tied up. Yes, we still got a mountain of adversaries to overcome. Shaking my shoulder firmly, Gazzaniga headed off, his bodyguards following him. Eleanor and I alone were not enough to expose Avalon's wrongdoings. But recruiting Gazzaniga, a politician who was at the time considered something of a heretic on the Lunar Surface, could be considered something mutually beneficial deal. Using Gazzaniga's strong personality status as an ally of the people, we could force a parliament to act. By turning it into a political issue, we believe we could get the courts to act. And Gazzaniga, armed with the knowledge that Avalon's wrongdoings were directly linked to the Lunar Surface's lifeline, and the price of energy, and fueled by righteous indignation, could use this to further his political career. In the end, Gazzaniga had fulfilled our desires while achieving a victory in the presidential election. It had been 4 years since then. Some things have changed, and some haven't. I watched as another speaker rose up to a podium, and motioned for Marko to get up. Let's go. We have work to do. Okay. Though we were leaving, the speeches continued and the ceremony went on without us. The housing project was established in the midst of soaring real estate prices and a worsening homelessness problem. The majority of the ceremony's attendees were those lucky enough to be moving into these shiny new buildings. The rest of those who had helped with the project. When I looked over at sponsor seats, my eyes locked onto one person. There was Risa, looking prim as always and full of composure. I gave her a short wave and she replied with a wink. I guess Risa doesn't wear a habit anymore. Marko lamented, picking up on our exchange. She said it's hard to move around in more ways than one. That's a shame. Marko, being an Earth fanboy, spoke with a lot of disappointment in his voice. But by the time we'd exited the courtyard, he took out his tablet, seeming to forget his woes, and we got into a taxi waiting for us. Not too long ago, this rather luxurious service. That hasn't been the case lately. Not to mention, since it had become known that Avalon wasn't actually producing energy, a countless solar panels were installed, which resulted in the price of solar energy returning to a manageable amount. The climate inside the Lunar Surface dome was set to match about the same temperatures as spring on Earth, and the weather at today's ceremony had been just fine. To Schrödinger Street, please. The driver nodded at Marko's request, and the taxi took off. Hey, how? Huh? How are you going to handle the Arabs' investments? I glanced back at the housing project receding from view, and replied, I'll accept them if they're up to par. If they don't, I won't. You're strict as always. It is a lot of money, you know. We don't need it at the moment. Or you're saying we should take anything we can get if it raises the stakes. That's not what I'm saying. It's just been nice to keep this channel open in case we need it in the future, or something. He pouted. When the buildings are completely out of sight, I turned forward. You have to stick to what you think is right. That's just as important as the outcome. The taxi sped off towards the place where all power and wealth on Lunar Surface gathered. Newton City. Money begets money. An indisputable truth of society mentions, even in the Bible and reversed in academia, with a Matthew effect. The same words are written in the Gospel of Matthew, a part of the Bible which was composed thousands of years ago. The lunar surface was one or two digits lower in population area, and years of history on Earth. Yet it surpassed even the greatest superpowers in terms of wealth generation. This new frontier for the human race. The lunar surface was developed for those up-and-coming white-collar workers who wanted to escape Earth's oppressive gravity as well as those who could not bear restraints and hindrances of worth, bringing their fortunes and aspirations with them. The rate of development was unprecedented, and though many problems arose, they managed to pull through. Thanks in part to a tax rate which was practically tax-free from Earth's point of view, as well as the non-interference regulations, the lunar surface became a money-making utopia. In the past, the Pope had dubbed this place the land of avarice. It was a well-known secret of the Vatican, a church organisation managing huge amounts of donations, was unofficially investing in the lunar surface. Newton City, the nerve centre of the lunar surface, where those with green in their eyes chased after wealth. As large as usual, it had an ambience of imperiousness, glamour and freedom it could only find in this never-ending maelstrom of wealth and greed. And standing out predominantly within Newton City, having made its way through as a large financial district, was Schrödinger Street. The car we were riding missed Schrödinger Street by one turn, arriving in a district with somewhat calmer atmosphere. Marco paid a fare, and I exited ahead of him. 4 years ago, I couldn't walk without a cane, but now I only felt a stiffness in my left leg. I did sometimes carry a cane about, but that was only because everyone expected me to have one. For I was aware of how ostentatious being known as the hero who failed Avalon sounded. He had advantages when doing business. A new contact might go, "Oh, you're that guy," and be more willing to trust us. I felt I'd become more cunning than I was as a kid, or even 4 years prior. Now I could recall my past self rather calmly. If a me from 8 years ago could see me now, I'm sure he'd scowl at how easily I could attain the grand dreams I chased. No, in the first place, could a me from 8 years ago have even imagined that I'd end up working so closely with a president? A me from 4 years ago probably wouldn't believe it either. Right now, there's pretty much no higher position I could hold. That was why I had to make the best of my current situation. Whilst musing, I took a deep breath. I recalled Chris's words. I believe there was a strong wind blowing over the lunar surface. As long as you could catch it, that wind could take you wherever you wanted to go. How? As I was reveling in reflection, someone suddenly called my name. It wasn't Marco. Looking up, I saw a face of a familiar up-and-comer from this sector. Who the hell is that? And what's with his hair? It was John Eagle. There are many upstarts making more money than they should be at their age, but it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was a front runner amongst them. Just what I was looking for. I was about to head over to your place to ask you about something. He rushed up to me with a friendly smile. Eagle acted as if he hadn't even seen Marco, and Marco's expression turned sour. They were at odds, like a bounce from an over-enthusiastic guest. Sorry, I got a few meetings lined up. Oh right, of course. I don't have to gain from holding you up. Just as wealth begets wealth, success draws people. I became famous in the trading sector after bringing down Avalon. Everything up, pushing forward regardless of how foolish it seemed. By uncovering that enormous scandal, I was heralded as a great hero. Whenever I tried to explain that hero was a bit of an exaggeration, I would just be told my humility was too heroic. At that point I decided to let it slide. Besides, Regardless of my wishes, whether or not someone had value here was determined purely on the performance of investments. As time passed, I should get more evaluation in line with my true self. You went to your project's commencement ceremony today, right? Didn't you? Where was it? The Royal Century Hotel, right? We wouldn't have it at a place like that. It was in a place that used to be called Red Valley. Actually, you might not have known what I meant by that. It's a place that might have been considered a slum in Earth, but you wouldn't know that looking at it now. Oh, but that's great, right? I'm thinking I'll be handling a large scale of assets. I'd like to go to your sector, the charity sector. It's a mark of greatness, after all. I hope you're willing to mentor me when the time comes. He stood right next to Marco, and he walked. He gave the most innocent smile on his face as he entered the run-down building's elevator with us. He was a manager in a growing investment fund firm. Oh, it's got a little button there, I can click it. Investment fund. Although this comes in different forms, this refers to hedge funds where fund managers invest funds backed by wealthy investors. 20% and sometimes 30% of our profits are charged. This one's got a little, what do you call this, glossary type thing. A World End Economica tips, they call it, stock term. His investment performance had increased by a staggering 1,320% in the course of a year. It's a perfect example of an Lunarian success story. I probably would have ended up like this myself 8 years ago had I done a perfect run without stumbling even once. There's a stock I wanted to ask you about. It's a real lucky find. One of Harold Brothers' whack job analysts gave him a real bad critique, but I thought, yeah, there's something off about this. So I did a bit of digging and realised I was clearly misreading the numbers, and so... Guess he kept blabbering on about the elevator. Because of that, he was so excited like a guy who kept winning bets. In order to win 13-20, you had to be able to boast a near perfect win rate. At that point, it must have felt like you were all of a galaxy. He continued speaking earnestly, with me nodding occasionally. He even gave me a printout he prepared, an analysis of the stock he mentioned. Guess the old adage, never tip your hand, didn't mean much to guys like this. Those who succeeded so much they thought they were all of the galaxy believed they could always find the keys to success. They didn't seem to care about one or two deals when someone called dibs on them. But more than that, they wanted others to know their skills and foresight for those they considered allies to share their success. They harboured no ill intentions. They were totally innocent and incredibly optimistic. Fast Eagle stock analysis stood up Marco, saying politely, "Thanks, I'll take a look." He might be wealthy even by the moon standards, but my acknowledgement still made him beam with delight. When the elevator doors opened, and the group hanging around in the break room in front of us, all somewhat resembling Eagle, looked up. The stock market was closed today, though none of them seemed to grasp that concept. We all spoke at once, but I just forced a smile and kept silence. Thanks to Marco protecting me like he was my bodyguard, I was able to make it pass without being mobbed like a celebrity. "Alright, Hal. See you, let's meet up later tonight." Eagle had probably been lying in wait for me earlier, so he could pop that line off to show to his rivals. A feeling turning around would just cause more hassle, so I just waved over my shoulder. I could make out the others, who were about his age, undoubtedly from his investment firm, bitterly singing his praises. There's something called cowboy capitalism. And this might exactly be that. Folks of energy, like them, jumped on their horses and lassoed a fortune. On the lunar surface are scruffy-haired lab coat-wearing geniuses. Suit-clad business elites skilled at manipulating people, and guys like Eagle who are amassing fortunes with nothing but youth and moxie. I couldn't be more like them anymore, though. Living for a profit and drunk off a full of success. Because I had purpose and an unyielding conviction that I could move forward. Marco moved ahead and opened the door for me. The office, with its name in a metal plate, remained unchanged. Schweitzer Investment. I received all of this from Eleanor, and the other guys considered it something like a holy site. It was a very important place to me too. It was a place where everything ended and everything began. No matter how many years passed, I still felt a little nervous whenever I entered. Here. And from here onward. That's what I always told myself. Today, as I once was again about to take a step forward, someone else appeared in the hallway. "Oh my, good afternoon, Hal." I glanced towards the voice to see a tall, auburn-haired woman staring at me. It was Maria Claude, a fellow trader who had set up her office in the room next door. Good afternoon to you as well, Marco. Back from the ceremony? Yeah, I've been doing well as well too, Miss Maria. Marco replied, flustered. He's rather cold with other guys, but he's always courteous around Maria. I'm sorry we couldn't make it. We really would have liked to have been there as well. We had a meeting we just couldn't miss. It's alright. Just beginning. Rose were able to support them along when the more important and big shots were just there to make a public appearance while pretending to be aloof. I'm happy to hear it. As Maria smiled, another spare person spoke. Indeed, it is but a beginning. A squat, elderly man stepped out from Maria's shadow. It is just that, a beginning. Why do I not understand that? Hello, Dr. Wallace. When I greeted a sharp-eyed elderly man, he glanced at me and nodded confidently. You are one of the very few individuals able to keep the scales of balance around here. In fact, there may only be a handful like you amongst the human race. That's true. If only keeping level head, it's how. Now in chief. The fact that humanity is so inept at shaping a future is astonishing. We must never forget the past. 1929, 1987, 2002. Humanity has repeated its mistakes time and time again. Each time has been dire and far-reaching. Well then, how? Marco. See you later. Maria smiled at us, opening the door, never grumbling Dr. Wallace through it. It looked for all like the world, like a girl taking care of an elderly man. I'm sure Rose Stewart would claim this is actually what the relationship is. And as she followed Wallace into the room, she suddenly turned around. Oh right. What is it? We're going to tonight's meeting, won't you? Yep. In that case, I have a favour to ask of you. What do you need? Well, our funding scale seems small, so I hadn't received an invitation, but the chief insists on going, so how? Could you... Maria, normally so cheerful, trailed off. I could feel Marco's eyes boring into me, but I nodded with a smile. I understand. We're more than happy to keep in company. My, really? I'd appreciate it. I don't mind. It's always full of wonder and insight. He's one of the few on the moon who really knows how to short sell. Stocks borrowed and sold for $100. Recently purchased when the price drops to 90. And returned to a lender, leaving 10% in possession. A method to profit when the price drops. That makes sense. So, effectively, you buy stocks. Makes sense. You buy an item, so you are given an item, you sell it, and you buy the same item for cheaper. You made a profit despite still having an item. Not the same item, but it's the same value. I'm glad to hear it. It's just... She glanced at the office, stepped in the hallway, closing the door behind her. She looked terribly exhausted. Business hasn't been great lately. Things started to get worse. That happens every now and then in this business, especially in Wallace's case. This is his method to invest things others don't want to touch. I can only guess how stressful this must be. She lowered her head, and when she looked at him again, she was smiling confidently. You could cheer up any investor in the world with the way you talk, Hal. If that was true, I never have any losses. She smiled, gave a quick bow, and returned to her office. On the door was a bronze plate inscribed Wallace Capital Management. They're one of the most prominent, die-hard short sellers on the Lunar Surface known in the world. Short selling was a method of investing when investors made money on stocks, or anything marketable in fact. As their value decreased, those who practiced short selling tended to ignore other kinds of investing. There were various types of investment strategies, but short sellers were very rare amongst investors. Most investment horror stories ended with someone wagering everything on a stock expecting its price to rise, only to have the opposite happen. So wagering on the expectation the prices would fall wasn't such a bad strategy. The problem was that it was all based on logic and didn't take human irrationality into account. If you want to know why people didn't like short sellers, you have to think about why stocks issued in the first place. Normally, founders of public companies expect their enterprise to be profitable. They issue stocks to increase their value. Naturally, those who invested in the company also believed it would be successful. Short sellers were despised because while everyone else was looking towards a brighter future, they profited off the endless supply of others' failures. We were seen as degenerates who went against conventional logic. Amongst them, Wallace's remarks, particularly cutting. In fact, his financial analysis and management skills were impeccable, didn't help smooth things out. However, he was a man with conviction who died for his beliefs. He was likely the only person in the entire world who counted on short-selling Avalon stock. Because of that, he was one of the few who actually able to make a profit from a turmoil resulting from Avalon's indictment, which earned him the title King of Pessimism. I glanced at the door leading to Wallace's battlefield for a moment, before stepping into my own office, and into the end of the episode. Bit of a longer one for the first episode. I always seem to do this, though. There's no real stopping point I got to that point anyway. Join me again next time when I carry on the story. But as ever, thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.